Hello and welcome to Who's Adventures. My name's Jim, and sure appreciate you taking time out of your day to stop in and watch the video. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the fishing trip with Michael and myself on my 60th birthday. I had some emails. Some guys reached out to me and was asking about the jigs that we were using on that trip, and so I kind of want to touch base on that tonight and kind of go over some of those jigs that we were using. And I'm also going to show you a great summertime jig. Really, it's a year-round jig, but it's really a great jig with a lot of tail action in it that will induce a strike, which is the first jig we're going to start with. Now, this jig is kind of unique in the fact that I usually tie this jig in a 1/32 and 1/64 ounce in the summertime. In the lakes that I fish, in the summertime, the crappie seem to like, those smaller baits and stuff. So, but I'm going to show you on a 1/16 ounce so you can see exactly what I'm doing tonight. And then we're going to get into some of the plastics that Michael and I was using out there. We ended that fishing trip with 29 keepers, which was really good, and we had a ton of fun. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that video, and hopefully y'all had a safe and enjoyable 4th of July. So we're going to start the jig off exactly how I do all of my jigs when I'm hand tying. And that's with setting down some hard as nail glue right on the shank. We're using a 214D thread for those of you that want to tie this on your own. And basically we're going to wrap down all the way to just a little bit past the hook point and then bring it back forward. Go ahead and trim your tail off. And then I'm going to lock that thread in place with a couple whip finishes. Now, what I'm going to use tonight is I'm going to build a split tail out of nip. So a lot of times you guys see me using a lot of these different skirts and stuff. Just to give you an idea, I'm going to use this one because it'll show up on camera just a little bit better. It's a size thing, okay? I don't know if you can tell, but you can see how much wider this nip is. And you can get this stuff, I'll leave a link, but you can get it on Amazon, okay? Skirt is very, very, very small in diameter. What I'm looking for when I'm building this jig is basically, I'm going to cross this over. Now, normally nip is what we use, you've seen me use to wrap and make a body. We're going to reverse this just a little bit. We're going to make a split tail out of it. So how I set mine is I'll give it a couple wraps right here on where the fold is, and then I'll come across the hook shank, and then I'm basically going to wrap back towards the end of it. By doing that, it keeps it from slipping on that hook shank. You're not pulling against the nip with your thread. And then I'm going to build the front body up to match that nip right here, so we don't have a difference in body here. Thread is cheaper than the nip, I'll put it that way. So it's cheaper to build the body up with my thread here. You could run the nip all the way to the head if you want, but I just prefer filling it in. It doesn't need to go all the way up to stay secure. This is probably one of my most favorite jigs to fish. And it's just a ton of tail action. So, you know, in the early spring and stuff, this 1/16 ounce is very much a very productive jig. Okay, so now I've got that done. I want to separate. Oops, I just broke it. See, you get to see that on camera. So bear with me and we'll get this fixed. But now you see, don't pull too hard on the nib because it'll break. I don't edit anything out, guys. If I make a mistake or something happens, I like to show the recovery of it, because there's guys out there that are wanting to learn how to tie and stuff, and I'd love to tell you that every time I go on camera or I'm tying jigs that, you know, something like this doesn't happen. And it's more about the recovery of fixing it and moving on. Okay, so you're about to see that in in camera life. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, something happens, just, you know, don't get upset. Just take your time and kind of go back through it and get her fixed. But in the summertime, I normally tie this jig in, like I said, a 1/32 ounce or a 1/64 ounce. The lakes I fish, you know, they tend to like the smaller baits in the summertime. There's a lot of boat traffic out there, some pressure on them. You know, the heat of the water. You know, whatever the case may be, you know, they don't want to work for the food as much, you know, because they're kind of like us. And when it's hot, you know, we're not looking to do a lot of work to work ourselves up. So we're going to start with a new fresh piece. Again, it's a loose wrap back around the shank. And then that just allows us to pull on this just a little bit, get it around that shank. Now what I was going to show you when I inadvertently broke it is if you bring your thread and come back up between the legs that you're creating and put your wrap right there, it's going to help spread those legs out just a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is line those up. And now we've got our legs. Now what I want to do here is I want to put several wraps back here on the tail, just to make sure that that tail is nice and sturdy right there. Now I'm going to bring my wrap all the way back up, and this gap right here, like I said, I'm going to fill this in with thread. I want to make the body as uniform as possible. Even though I'm putting Chanel on there, you want to make sure that the body is staying proportional Now we were able to unwrap and wrap again because we hadn't really secured this into place. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to secure it. Okay. So if it was to break, if you did something and you break it in this part of the tie, you're going to have to cut this all back off to start over. Just adds a little bit of work, but it's okay. I mean, everything's fixable, as you can see. Now we're going to take that hardest nail glue and we're going to go back over this real good. These jigs take a pretty good beating down there in the water. So, you know, whether it's cover or fish biting on them or whatever. So I really like to, you know, make sure they're secure. Now once I lay that layer of glue, the first thing I done was I did a whip finish. Now I put the glue on. Now I'm going to take one more wrap and go down the body. And that's really going to lock that in. And then I'm going to give it another whip finish. Okay. Again, I get most of my Chanel from, in fact, I get all my Chanel from Woods and Water Outdoors. Again, I will leave a link down there to their website if you're looking to purchase some of this stuff. This is basically a Monkey Milk Flake Silver. Really stands out really well in even murky water. I peeled just a little bit of that front off so that I can grab it with my thread and kind of get it secured in there, and I'll show you that. So as you can see, I've grabbed it with my thread and wrapped it in there. Okay, and basically now I'm going to pull this up and you can see the gap between the Chanel and the tail. And basically, I'm using the thread to lock the Chanel right back dead on top of the split tail, okay? Once I've got it back here, it's all very proportional. I'm wrapping back towards the front. And I want to make sure on my first wrap that basically I've got everything lined up on that tail. And then you just want to wrap it towards the front. Now what we want to do is secure our Chanel in real good. Trim it off. And we want to put about 6 wraps, whip finishes on our head. And there you have it, guys. This is one of my top favorite jigs. There is a ton of tail action in this jig. The nip is so wide, it catches a lot of the water, and it gives it that great fluttering action in the water, and induces the fish to strike when there may be times when it won't strike. Going from, you know, just a regular type skirt, you know, it's not going to make as much flutter, and I think that that's why this is such a productive bait. This is probably one of my most favorite color combinations and jigs when it comes to hand-tied jigs that I like to use throughout the year. The summertime, it's really a good productive jig. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about the color combinations of jigs that we were using out there. So other than the hand-tied jig that I showed you there, I was using a monkey milk on a 1/32 ounce round ball pink head jig combination. Okay, and then I was also using a monkey milk with a purple tail. And again, you can, I'll leave a link, but KCJ, which is Connect Custom Jigs, which is the guy's name's Eric. So shout out to you, Eric. This is where I buy my stuff from. He's on Facebook. I'll leave a link to his stuff. But this is where I get these. And so this monkey milk with the purple in it and the purple tail, I comboed it up with both a 1/32 ounce round white, and then I have one that was pink headed. The white head did the better of the two. And then this is the jig that I believe that Michael was using, because this one's actually missing in my jig case. So I hope this is the one he was using. But basically, short truce tail with a black-green spine with a silver flake on the belly. Okay, that's matched up with a 1/32 ounce short truce green head. Now I'm going to go through and show you guys, and I've showed this on other videos, but I'll show it on here, how I set this up. So you can see that I just adjusted this head, this hook point. You want that hook point basically right above the eye of the hook. Okay, so if you're running just a straight shank hook, you want to make these adjustments. This is going to help you increase your catch rate. Your hook sets are going to be a lot more productive. Again, I'm going to stress this, that everything starts with the hardest nail glue. And again, guys, this is something that you guys, even if you're not hand tying, this is something that you can do that's going to help you enjoy your trip out there a whole lot more. Nobody likes constantly adjusting their bait. You notice when you're casting out and you reeled in and the bait slid down and it's cockeyed or whatever. This prevents this. So this is dental floss. Now I know that there's a lot of other videos out there that you guys can watch, but this is really, I mean, I've been using this trick since I was a kid. It's done a lot. It's nothing special. I mean, you can go to dollar store. I think it stuff's like 75 cents. Now I spool it on here just because I'm 60 years old and I got fat fingers. This just makes it easier. That's it. But you're going to wrap the dental floss down the shank, and then back up to the head. Okay, trim that little tail off. Don't need that. Now, if you don't have a whip finishing tool, you can make a simple granny knot. Okay, a simple granny knot, overhanded knot will secure this. Okay, now I use a whip finishing tool just because, well, I own one, and two, it's a whole lot easier to use it. You know, I can put a couple whip finishes on here in no time at all. These fat fingers, you know, the old way I used to do this was with a pair of channel locks, and I'd hold the hook point in there, and then I'd be tying the knot and stuff, and it works. You know, it really doesn't take special tools, I promise you. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you have to remember we build our jigs upside down. Okay, so our jig should set in here just like this. Okay, so this is the belly of the jig. Okay, so we're going to put straight shank on the straight edge of the jig so that when we're fishing it, basically the belly's down. keeping it straight. So when you get it right to that hook point bend, you just want to curl it around. Okay, and what you're looking for, make sure I am straight. Got a lot of lights here. Yep. So what you're looking for is you want this hook straight in line with this tail. If it's off to one side, the jig won't fit, won't swim right. Okay, doesn't mean you won't catch fish with it. It's just it's not as productive. Now I use Loctite super glue gel. Okay, now you can use any super glue you want. I just prefer the gel. It's less messier. I'm going to put a good solid heavy dot of that super glue right here. I'm going to push that head back up real nice and tight and just hold it there for a few seconds. Now I've never had to adjust these or anything. Now I've had, believe it or not, I've had fish, crappie, bluegill, bass, whatever. I've had them rip the jig body clean off of it. And these are salvageable. I mean, you just bring it back and take your little razor knife, scrape all that off, start all over again. So now we have our jig, okay? And it's straight in line. Now I'm not going to go through and do all these for you tonight. I just wanted to show you, kind of highlight and answer the emails. I had a handful of emails, guys saying, hey, what was you using? You know, what techniques were you using down there? So we had a couple different techniques. I'll tell you one technique that we were using that was not productive. If you look on the graph in that video, you'll see that the fish were only in about 10 feet of water, and they were close to the bottom, very close to the bottom. Even in that little tree, they were close to the bottom. And when we were fishing them, basically our jigs were coming through very close to the bottom. They were about 20 feet out, so we're casting 25 feet out. And letting it sink down and then trying to swim the jig back through maybe about a foot off of the bottom and then coming up just as it got to that 10-foot spread from the boat. And as it was coming up, the fish weren't even striking it a lot of times until it was like 5 feet from the surface, and in some cases 2 feet from the surface. So one of the things I thought that might help us was we tried some slip bobber action. So if that strike zone was right here and you're trying to swim a jig in through there, that jig swims at an angle and comes up through there, and it's not in that strike zone very long. So I thought by using a slip bobber that would allow the jig to jig in that strike zone, that might work. Well, it didn't. And I think part of the reason it didn't is because we weren't pulling them off the bottom. So the fish I think that we were catching the most of, and really going back and looking at some of the footage that we did have, they were coming up off the bottom and following the bait all the way up, but weren't committing to the bait until it was well up, you know, like I said, anywhere from 2 to 5 feet from the surface. So they wanted a swimmy jig, and that's what we gave them. So, you know, these jigs that we were using that I'm replacing and talking about tonight, you know, were very productive on that fishing trip. Okay. But it really comes down to paying attention to what you're seeing, the information you're getting as to how productive you're going to be, and paying attention to how the fish are reacting. And then technique. You know, I fish with one of the, in my opinion, Carl is, you know, and there's a fishing video out there. Carl is really on top of it when it comes to his finesse, his technique. And I learn every time I go out. I am not a professional fisherman. I just give you guys information on what I see, what I'm doing. And if that helps you guys, you know, catch more fish, that's great, okay? But I learn every time I go out, every time. And when I'm fishing with Carl, I really pay attention to how he finesses his jigs, whether it's a hand-tied jig, whether it's a, you know, the hair jig, or it's a plastic jig. You know, it's about the finesse of it that gives it that real life look. I do not use live bait. If I use anything, I may tip with like a power bait, a crappie nibble or something like that, just for scent. I may use, you know, Slabmaster juice. I may use shad juice. I may, you know, any of these scents. I may use some of those, but I don't use live bait. And so it comes down to perfecting that finesse, and just, you know, paying attention to whatever information you're getting. If you know that you're catching fish when you're at the top of your presentation, then that means the fish are coming all the way up. You know, electronics have come a long way. They give you a ton of information. They will not catch the fish for you. And if you're not paying attention to what you're seeing on a screen or how the fish are reacting on a screen, you know, you're not going to be as productive. And that's something that, you know, I've had to learn. You know, last year was my first year ever using active target. And, you know, before that, you know, basically it was, you know, 2D sonar. But you can gain a ton of information even from 2D sonar if you just really pay attention to what's going on and stuff. How the fish react to a bait, you know, do they want it? Do they not? You know, I can throw a bait a couple times and just watching how the bait, you know, is moving through the you know, the strike zone and stuff, and the fish reaction, I can say, yep, I'm changing baits, because they don't want nothing. It could be color, it could be size, could be presentation. So you just got to try a lot of different things. Hopefully tonight's video was informational, that helped some of you catch more fish. Again, I'll leave links in the description on, you know, the nip material. I buy this on Amazon, and the jigs here. I'll tell you, Eric and his family, his sister does the plastic injections, and she is extremely talented. I mean, extremely talented. She's really got down to an art. And, you know, Eric is extremely talented in his jig tying. I own several of his jigs that he's tied. In fact, the bulk of my plastics came from Eric. I'll leave a link for his stuff. You know, reach out to him, let him know that you've seen it here on Hoosier Adventures, and you know, he runs auctions on Facebook all the time. You can look him up on there, Connect Jigs, you know, I think it's KNEPP. So again, that's KNEPP. I'll shoot it up here on the screen so you can, and his information, so you can reach out to him. But again, you know, and there's guys out there, I'll be honest with you, it's way more talented in this than I am. You know, they're just a good group of guys, and they're very talented. And you can get there too. You know, I haven't been doing this all this long time, jigs and stuff, but I truly enjoy it. And then to go out there and have a fishing trip where you're catching crappie on something that you created, you know, just speaks volumes. So, all right, guys, that's what I got tonight. Hopefully this helps a handful of you. And again, I hope everybody had a very safe and enjoyable 4th of July weekend. You're probably going to be seeing this video somewhere around the 5th or 6th or something like that. We had the 4th of July video is going to be the live sweep, which will already be out by the time you see this video. Check it out. That's something that really has helped me enjoy my crappie fishing even more. So check it out, and It's a great video, and again, it was done when Mike and I was out fishing. It's something that I'd had it for a year, and I wanted to kind of do a review. And again, I'm not sponsored by anybody, so my reviews are legit. I mean, and even if somebody sent me a product, said, "Hey, can you do a review on this?" You're gonna get the honest opinion. If I think it's junk, it's junk. I mean, that's just the way it is, and that's probably why I don't have very many companies reaching out to me, I guess. I don't know. And I'm not looking to do that stuff. Our channel is about you folks, and the content here is for you folks. And again, if some of you are close enough and want to participate and fish with me, reach out to me. Shoot me an email. If we can put something together, we'll go out and go fishing and have a good time, you know, and that's what this is all about for Rebecca and I. We enjoy meeting people. We feel blessed by that, you know. So again, you know, reach out to me. If you got any questions on anything I did tonight, do me a favor, you know, leave me a comment or shoot me an email. I'll put the email address here on the screen for you. And shoot me an email, and I answer everything. Okay, I don't leave anybody. Well, the only people I leave hanging is those that comment saying how they can help, you know, grow my channel. It's not what I'm looking to do. I want to do it one person at a time with quality videos. All right, guys, enough of that. Everybody have a great evening. Again, please be kind, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Good night, everybody.